Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Jason Ostrowski, and welcome to another edition of the Everything Real Estate Podcast. Whether you've been in real estate for a few years or even a few decades, we can all remember when we first got started in real estate and how stressful it was for us. You know, we're trying to learn on the fly, we're trying to sell and pay bills and just kind of keep our head above water in an industry that is very challenging for a new agent. So today I wanted to talk to two of our agents who have found that success early in their careers, and they've really found a way to balance learning with doing. The first is Anthony Tota. He is out of our brick office, and he is the Rookie of the Year award winner for Region 9 for 2020. And the other is Casey Lello, who is the Rookie of the Year for Region 4 for 2019, and she is out of our Haddonfield office. Both Casey and Tony had a lot of great insight to share. So whether you're a brand new agent or even a seasoned agent, I think you'll pick up some good ideas. So check out the conversation today and we'll talk on the other side. For the conversation today, I have two of our outstanding Rookies of the Year. How are you both doing to start off?
Doing great, Jason. Thank you for having me on today.
Right here, Jason. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So, all right. So let's get right into it. So I think anytime that you have a newer agent in this business and getting into it, when people ask me, you know, what's the real estate business like? And often I say, it's not what you think. You know, a lot of agents get into this business thinking that it's going to be easy. It's going to be, you know, quick sales and you're going to have success right away in this business. And they quickly find that that's not the case. In fact, about 75% of newer agents tend to be out of the business within a couple years. And so it's hard to find success earlier in your careers. And both of you have done that. So, you know, number one, what made you both want to get into real estate? Casey, let's start with you.
Okay, great. So a little bit of a background. I graduated with a degree in marketing. Prior to real estate, I was a paid intern at a printing company. And this printing company, they did marketing for brands like Victoria's Secret and Target. And, you know, my day-to-day involved a lot of responsibilities that, you know, kind of included scheduling for shipment pickups and coordinating luncheons for the CEO of the company, kind of getting hands-on in the back of the warehouse on some of the projects. Lots of multitasking, phone calls, communication. So I think that my background really kind of taught me the importance, I think, of people skills, organization skills, and just really listening to what's being said. And, you know, so I feel like that kind of is where I started off, and it kind of led into real estate. You know, I didn't have any family or anybody so that's kind of cool for the newer agents that feel like, you know, you have to have somebody in the business to get started. You just kind of have to be a go-getter to get started. And I worked at salons all my life. So that kind of falls into when you're scheduling showings and you're organizing and managing your clients and all of those tasks that real estate involves. I love all these beautiful houses that I get to, you know, go into. And then of course, helping others and just seeing their faces when they're lighting up and they finally found the house that they want to make an offer on. It's just really a fulfilling career. So it's been really successful for me.
Yeah, it certainly has. And Anthony, you know, I told you when you came on, just looking at your background now, you've gotten into real estate now, but you have an impressive resume before you got into real estate. So what made you get into real estate? And let's talk a little bit about that background that you have.
Okay. Well, I worked for about 45 years on Wall Street in operations. I gained some very valuable technical skills. And they also learned some very valuable time management skills, which I find that's very important in real estate. About 2.5 years ago, the company decided that it was time for me to move on. So I did. And during the time that I had off, I kind of did some soul searching and thought that I would like to do something not only to help people, keep myself busy, but also something where I can apply my skills that I learned in my career. Real estate is one where if you put your time in, you can basically make your own way. So I went through the testing process, and I had a little apprehension because a lot of people had told me how difficult it would be to get started. Um, but I said, you know what? I'll give it my best shot. I'll put all of my positive effort into it. And I was very, very fortunate that with all of the skills that I learned, including the financial background, I was able to relate to people, and a lot of their concerns when buying a home or selling a home is about how it's going to affect them financially. So I have a little bit of an insight as to how it will affect them. Um, the other thing is just being very, very unpretentious, very honest, and just be clean with them. Say, listen, this is what it is. If you try to tell them something that's not true, the only person you're going to hurt in the end is yourself. Listen to what the customer's needs are. That's the most important thing. I can tell you a story. My first deal was about almost 2 years ago. And I spoke to the husband, and he wanted a house with 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. And I took him out, him and his wife. And every house I showed them, she had a frown on her face. I said, well, what's wrong? I showed you like 4 beautiful homes. And she said, I really, really wanted the sunroom in the back, the lanai, if you will. I said, well, I didn't know that because Henry, your husband, didn't tell me that. I said, okay, so today's Saturday, tomorrow's Sunday. Come back tomorrow. I'll have something that you will like more. I went home and I searched the inventory, and I found 3 homes. I couldn't find 4. I found 3 homes that they might like, but the one I picked to show them first was the one I thought that would make the deal. And I was correct. We got there, and when we walked into the house and she saw the lanai in the back of the house, her face completely lit up. He said, where do I sign? I said, well, let's make the offer and we'll see what happens. That was my first deal in real estate. So it was memorable.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. And, I think we all have stories in real estate that are like that. We have to listen as agents, and we have to be able to kind of pick up those signals from people, from our clients. And I think that's part of what makes you both successful. So, what do you think? And listening to you both in that previous question, it really seems to me like both of you are people. And, I think your backgrounds are great transitions into real estate. A lot of times when we have people that are in sales, or, they come from a marketing background like Casey, you're constantly around people, you're constantly talking to them. And if you don't like being around people, you're probably in the wrong business at this point. So, my next question kind of comes from a similar area. What would you say, Anthony, let's start with you. What do you think is the catalyst for your success in real estate so far? What do you attribute to your quick success in this business?
I would say top of the list would be time management. To be prompt when getting back to folks that call, to be on time at appointments, and to be able to answer any questions that they have. And if I don't know the answer, I will find it. And that's top of the list.
I think that's a huge important skill in our business. And Casey, I'm sure you agree with that. Is there anything that you want to add to that question? What's the catalyst, do you think, to your early success in real estate?
So for me, I think, like, again, I didn't really have much experience getting into real estate, but I quickly learned that you need to self-educate. That's like number one. You need to learn the market. Of course, like, you need to be prompt when getting back to your clients, and your response time is extremely important, because I knew what I was up against. And I knew that there was all these top producing agents, and I just focused on talking to people, answering all of their questions in a timely fashion. So I'm available 24/7. That is fortunately, I mean, the name of the game for me, I'm at dinner and I'm talking to clients too. It's like they're there with me. So I think knowing the market, knowing what's going on in the areas, being able to not just send properties, but know about new maybe construction that's going on, or develop what developers' plans are, that they're doing in the area, maybe some new restaurants that they're checking out. So I'm constantly using my marketing background, being a professional who knows their stuff. And that's what I love about Berkshire Hathaway is they just their excellence is their bare minimum. And I think that they truly set you up for success, devouring all of the education. And then eventually you'll have all of the confidence because you have all of the knowledge. I think that if you're lacking confidence, you're probably lacking in knowledge. Follow the examples of the top agents that you want to follow. And that's kind of how I think for me, all of my business has been able to come from word of mouth, being very exposing myself all over social media, and not being embarrassed or feeling like, oh, people are, why is she always posting? February 2021 was 3 years in real estate. And I feel like I can honestly say you have to believe in yourself, because and I know it's another saying, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will, or, and it's the truth. So come in confident, learn as much as you can. Your clients, you'll start building it through that, your social sphere of influence. And it's like kind of building a fire, and all of the learning that you do is like the fuel to that fire, and it's just going to continue to grow. And that's how it's been for me.
Yeah, I think you make a lot of excellent points there. And I think as a former manager, I used to tell my younger agents that, by younger, I mean new to the business, that if you're getting into this, the first year, what I want you to concentrate on is learning, right? And building that foundation to your business and your success. Because it's just like any other fundamental. I'd look at it like basketball, right? Before you can have, these crazy behind the back dribbles and shoot 3-pointers, and you have to learn the fundamentals of the game. You have to learn to dribble before, you're going to do a crossover, So I think for both of you, kind of learning, number one, and then number two, selling on the fly, in your first year, did you both find that a little, I guess, nerve-wracking in a sense? You learn by doing, first of all. But I know that first transaction for a new agent is always nerve-wracking. And Casey, you told me about leaning on people potentially in your office, like a mentor or somebody that had, success in this business that you kind of lean on. Anthony, how was your first year, not only selling, but learning the business?
Well, I spent a lot of time in the office the first couple of months when we had our office in Toms River. And there were a couple of agents that were very, very successful. And I did befriend them because I said, well, these folks will be able to teach me something. And I did a lot of listening, very little talking. And I said, well, show me what you do on a normal day. What's your typical day? And, I got a lot of things with what they did to try to get listings. But being on the buy side in most of the transactions, most importantly, they told me to listen to the customer. So I did spend a lot of time in the office, did spend a lot of time learning the systems, and they actually made me the technology specialist in the office, which helps. Technology comes to me quite easily, only because of my background. So that doesn't bog me down in the actual real estate process. Some people get bogged down with the paperwork, and it actually hinders their ability to go meet with a customer. And that should really be in the back of mind. The paperwork is only the necessary evil, if you will. Talking and building a rapport with the customer is the most important thing. And then they don't come to a real estate agent to get pizza. They come to a real estate agent to buy real estate. So once you have that in your mind and you add your self-confidence and you find out what their needs and wants are, the rest does it by itself.
I think it's pretty impressive that you know that this early on in the business, right? Because it is all about relationships. And I feel like sometimes with new agents, you're kind of feeling your way in the dark that first year. And usually by the second year, something kind of clicks. But for you, Anthony, it sounds like right away, you know where the priority is. And you actually touched on one of the questions I wanted to ask you both. And I'll point this to you, Casey, is that typically, not all the time, but typically early on in an agent's career, usually you have more buyers than you do sellers. And usually that's just kind of how it goes. And the progression is that over the course of your career, you then shift after a while to having more listings than buyers. And so in this market that we're in, where you both come into this crazy market where, you know, all these sales are happening so quickly and you have to get out to the property, you know, within a half an hour of it listing or it's gone. And then you're against 15 other offers if you're representing buyers. How did you both find success when you do gravitate more towards buyers early on in your career and you're against all these other offers in the marketplace? Casey, how are you finding success out there with your clients?
So when I first started 3 years ago, the market was completely different than it is right now. Right now, it is unbelievable. So I feel like newer agents who are starting are seeing that and they're just totally like probably overwhelmed. How do I compete? But I think it's all about your attitude. Again, like it's all about your attitude. You know, we can't control the external factors that are going on in the world. I wish I could. I mean, I'm working with buyers right now and we're getting outbid and it's nothing that they're doing wrong. And it's nothing that I'm advising them wrong. It's just this market, it should slow down. But back when I started 3 years ago, I was working with buyers and I used to always say to my manager at the time, I never want to work with sellers. I never want to have listings. I always want to work with buyers. They're so fun. They're appreciative. They love they were, to me, they were just, because they were first time home buyers and I was a first time new agent. So it just had that, it made me more comfortable. And then, like you said, like that first year, you're kind of like in the unknown, you learn more. And then going into my, like maybe 6-7 months in, I just like business soared for me. I was meeting buyers at open houses who needed to sell their house in order to buy the one that I was listing, which I thought was like, oh my gosh, how do I handle that? How do you manage that? But you kind of just learn it as it goes. I've had great coaches, mentors, all of that I could turn to. So being able to navigate the buying process that happened more in the beginning. And now I'm doing listings a lot and I love listings. So they're fun to get, but you just have to believe in yourself. Because believe me, I wake up and I have ups and downs because this job, it's more like cash spurts. Like you get spurts at times of, and then you don't get paid for 5 months. And so I go through these emotional ups and downs where I've been like, am I really going to be that real estate agent that goes back to a 9-to-5 or just goes back to a corporate job? No, absolutely not. I love what I do. And it's just like remind yourself how fun this job really is. And you just got to commit. And you're eventually the newer agents, you guys are going to get there. You're going to get to a point where it's just like, okay, this is how you put together a contract for a buyer. This is how you negotiate a deal for a buyer. Right now in this market, I tell my buyers, we got to put our best foot forward first because it's an over asking market. And again, their motivation is a huge thing as well. Like how much longer can you be happier in your current situations? You feel like you want to rent for another year, because I think persistence and consistency wins every single time. So I didn't have as much competition back when I was working with buyers. You make an offer, their offer was accepted. It was just like a no-brainer. You like this house? Cool. I know we're going to get the offer accepted. And it was crazy because we were putting in offers that were like 5,000 or 6,000 under their asking price. So now it's just a completely different world right now in real estate. If you're starting off now, you're going to be a pro, 2 years from now when the market relaxes. Like if you're getting started now, you're in it's a tough time, but if you can get through it, just keep reminding yourself of your why, and and you just don't give up. Get through the hard times. It's all your mindset.
Yeah, it really is. But Tony, so Casey, you said you're approaching 3 years or have approached 3 years in this business, and so Tony, you're coming into it a little bit later, and you're hitting that market a little bit busier, especially on the buying side. Now, you mentioned you've already become a tech specialist, which is impressive in itself within your first year. That you're so technologically proficient already. But again, working with those buyers in this market, how has it been for you, Tony? I mean, it might be a case of ignorance is bliss because you've never been in real estate before until, within the past year and a half. So how do you feel working in this market and trying to get your clients' homes has been for you?
Well, I learned a couple of years back. I was in the car business for a very, very short time, and not to dwell too much on that. One of the finance managers taught me something many, many years ago. He said, reduce it to the ridiculous. And this is the example I will give you. So I take a customer out to see a $150,000 home. They're pre-approved for a mortgage with 20% down. And they say, well, what should I bid on the house? So what I do is I'd be very honest with them right now. And I tell them, listen, right now, anything that comes up on the market, if it's going for 150, it's going to sell for 165. Okay. So they say, ooh, 165, it's too much money. So then I take out my iPhone and I have a mortgage calculator on my phone because I know the answer already. And I calculate what the payment is going to be at 150 and what the payment's going to be at 160. And it's the cost of a pizza at today's rate. Okay. When you show this to them, they're like, wow, I can get this house for like 25, 30 bucks more a month. Absolutely. And, you calculate it with no interest or taxes or anything like that, but just the principal and interest at today's rates. Obviously you want to establish that their credit is good. But once you have that and you show them the difference, you can get them to come up on the price that they offer for the house. And 9 out of 10 times, to my fortune, they've been successful. So I've sold quite a number of houses, more than $10,000 over list price because of that little trick. And it's not really a trick; it's reality.
It's breaking it down to the ridiculous, right? And just a general rule of thumb in this market, interest rates being what they are, for every 1,000 that you spend, it's probably about $4, $5 to your mortgage. So yeah, I think, and the other thing, Tony, is I always tell people that, when I'm advising clients along those lines, is that it's not just about the price. It's about the price. It's about the taxes. It's about your total monthly payment and how much you want to spend. It's not about that price. And I think that makes it easier in this market too. So, okay. All right. So I want to shift gears a little bit, get away from the business side. Let's talk about the other part of the business that I think a lot of newer agents are kind of blindsided by when they get into this, is that marketing is such a big part of what we do as agents. And there's a million different ways to market yourself out there. Now, it sounds like you both are pretty technologically efficient when it comes to marketing. But let's talk about, as new agents, like what were your goals in terms of marketing, and how, I guess, has that shifted now that you kind of know the terrain that you're working in? What do you do to market yourself out there, and how do you get the word out about, hey, I'm a real estate agent, work with me? Casey, let's start with you.
So the first thing I remember that I did, it was a Facebook status. I have a lot of from just high school and then college, and I'm a social butterfly, and I have a big a lot of friends on my Facebook. So that was the first thing that I did. I just made a quick status. I said, "Hey guys, I made a career change. I am, a real estate agent here at this office." And then I tag, family members, tag friends, because when you tag these people, it shows up on their page. Or I have a lot of supporters that would share my post. But that was like the first thing that I did. And then I didn't know this now or then, but I know it now. I probably would have done some mailing. Like I would have put out like a postcard that, hey, you're a local, an agent in the local area of South Jersey, and just like write something up, a little write up, and do mailers. I did not do that then. All I really did was my Facebook. And then I branched into getting a business Instagram page. And I remember my first post was just me leaving a home inspection. And my first deal, I actually helped. It's a couple of they're a family now. They were expecting a baby, and I worked with the buyer at my job right before I came on as a real estate agent. And he contacted me and said, "I want to be your first sale. We're so sad that you left the company, and we want to work with you. It's a no-brainer, Casey. We know you're going to take great care of us." So my first post was at their home inspection, and I just wrote how gratifying it was to just even be doing this right now. I have my first like appointment, and then from there I just kept being consistent with it. So on my Instagram, every post I just share it to my Facebook page, and like keeping up with current matters or realtor.com, just like keeping people informed on what. And I would just post Facebook, post Instagram, and then I've implemented like a monthly email. Like, so instead of doing it weekly, I built my database and I stay in touch with them with a monthly email, and then all my social medias. Some of my past transactions have actually used me again. So your past transactions are a great way to, just check in with them. And then, or maybe their family member or their brother, like I was saying, wants to buy or sell or rent. And then picking up the phone, I've called. Berkshire Hathaway offers some tools that you can get some information on homeowners, and you just call around, let them know about a house that you have on the market. It's sold in 2 days. Or, is anybody that or possibly yourself looking to sell? So calling people, knocking on doors, it's a little old school, but it works. Just getting creative, and that's how I continue to stay on top of mind.
Well, I'll tell you, I did check out your Instagram page, and I was pretty impressed by what you're putting out there. So I'm always trying to kind of keep tabs on people that do a great job, and you certainly do. So Tony, let's go to you. Same kind of question, because Casey had mentioned a bunch of different things, and one of the things she mentioned was farming or repeat clients, and repeat clients are the lifeblood of our business. So Tony, what are you doing to kind of cultivate those people in your sphere and also gain new business?
Well, I think we're all pretty familiar with the Facebook and the Instagram. It's all part of the internet footprint. If somebody wants to see you, if they go online, and most of the world does, they will find you. I've also done some marketing. My main area of expertise is the Manchester area in the retirement community. So I had an opportunity to put an ad, a half a page ad, on the back of the Manchester Times, which is an annual newspaper that comes out. That seemed to have worked to some success. But word of mouth is everything. As Casey mentioned earlier, I have at least 2 customers that I did a transaction with that really, really cared, and really were very happy with the outcome. And they called me and told me that their relative was looking to buy, and I got another deal. So word of mouth is everything. When you're new, it's a little bit more daunting because you don't really have any kind of experience backing you up. So you kind of have to push that. The way I do it is with Berkshire Hathaway tools, such as ACE, where you have the ability to set it and forget it. You build up that sphere of influence of all past buyers, present contacts, friends, Facebook people, and you send them that monthly newsletter. Again, not to be an annoyance, but the holiday papers, beginning of spring, and you'd be surprised. They come back and say, same to you, thank you. And some of them probably unsubscribe, but you can't please everybody.
I've actually had this has happened to me where a client was like, I'm seeing your content. Half the time I don't even open it, Casey, but when I do, it's great stuff. I'm so busy. So, looks like you're doing well. I'm happy for you. I have somebody that's looking to move in Washington Township. I know that you service that area. Can I introduce you to? And so it's hilarious. Like you said, don't feel like, even I've gotten unsubscribed. And it kind of makes me laugh. Like I always just like, oh man, it makes me just want to send you another email. Like when you unsubscribe, but I don't. But you just don't let that bring you down. They might not be opening all of my emails, but when they do occasionally, it just is like the perfect example. I've gotten leads through my emails.
I think rejection is a big part of our business, right? You have to get used to it, and you have to grow a thick skin in our business, or else this business can eat you up at times. And it sounds like already, both of you exude confidence in what you do. And so much of our business is having that confidence in yourself. Casey, you mentioned that, you're a go-getter. And Tony, you certainly seem the same way. You seem very level-headed about the business and kind of what it takes to make it. So would you say, questioning you both on what you think makes for a successful real estate agent, what do you think is the one characteristic or trait that agents have to be successful, like you've been at such an early stage in your career? Tony, how about you?
Well, I have a hat in my closet. It's got about 6 colors on it, and each color has a different career. One is a psychiatrist, one is a psychologist, one is an accountant. The only thing I don't have to be is a priest, but you've got to wear different hats because you're in different. You get questions involving different topics. What do you think it would? What do you think it would cost me to have the house? Well, now you have to be a banker, even though you're really not supposed to be giving them banking advice, but you have to have an idea. Well, you think if I live close to my ex-wife, you think that's going to be a problem? Now you have to turn into a psychiatrist.
So,
yeah, that's not a question I want to answer. That's
can't help you there.
Yeah.
But different hats is the thing of the day.
Yep. Casey, how about you?
I agree. Being a well-rounded person, being a listening ear, and making people feel like they are human and that they are, this is the biggest purchase that they're going to make. And it's a huge investment, and buying a house is a big deal. And I think you just need to kind of exude that confidence, and then you won't even be questioned. For me, I'm resilient. Whatever comes my way, I just kind of and I get nervous. I get the feelings of nerves in my stomach, but in order to do something or be something that you've never been before, you've got to be willing to, do the work to get there. You got to be able to in order to be something you've never been before, you've got to do things you've never done before. Something along those lines. I'm a big quote person, and I literally wake up in the morning while I'm drinking coffee and I start my day off reading content, studying the market, and I'm all about personal growth. I think the biggest thing is the foundation that we build on, and I think it starts with personal growth and then just business and learning the business and growing there. And I think that's where it starts. So being resilient, I'm not salesy, I'm not pushy. I give a listening ear always, any time of the day. Now, granted, my cup's gotten a little bit fuller. I need time for myself. So I will start to shut off around 8:00, 8:30. And all of my clients respect that. This job, it's not so scary. You just, need to learn the basics. work on yourself. And then, the rest kind of goes from there as history.
Well, it's treating the business like a business, right? Because so many agents tend to not do that early in their careers. You kind of have to learn the business and then treat it like a business. And people want to do business with the people that they know, like, and trust. And it certainly sounds like the both of you have that with your clients, that trust between you both. So one last question to each of you. I want to know. Let's start with you, Casey. What is the one thing about the business that kind of you expected that came to fruition, and then maybe something about the business that you didn't expect? Something that kind of blindsided you getting into the business, that where you're like, oh, that's interesting. That's part of my job. What do you think you expected, and what didn't you expect?
So I think what Anthony was saying, wearing the hats, like, I thought that I was just going to be a real estate agent. I was going to handle the contracts, show some houses, get them through the door, do the scheduling, and then wrap it up. But you are more than that. You really are wearing multiple hats. You have to hear, like the therapist would do. You hear them out, because you're working with people that have lives, and they just want to share it with you once you turn into a friend. And sometimes you just have to turn off a little bit. So that was kind of a surprise to me, that, wow, I have to learn how to not always be on as a real estate agent, and learn how to be off and just talk and catch up with clients and take them out for lunch or meet up with them for a coffee. Like, they're friend. They can be a friend too. They don't just need to be a client. So that I'm so business minded that that was a learning curve for me, to just be able to turn off work and be a person. And also, I kind of mirror other people. So if somebody wants to look, like, I just want you to show me a couple of houses, get me pre-approved, find me the house and call it a day, I can be that too. If you want to talk to me a little bit more and be a friend, I will be that too. So I mirror my clients. That was sort of an adjustment. And then I think knowing your resources, like, I had a couple of bad experiences, deals fell through. I think I had 2 deals fall through in my 3 years. And it was like, you put in all of this work for 45 to 60 days. And then you're finally almost, bringing it in for a landing. And at the table, I mean, I couldn't even believe it. Like, I could not even believe it. So that was a big surprise, that financing is huge. Who you work with really does matter. You need to know your stuff. So I always love helping new agents out. I'll be, even after this podcast, if anybody wants to reach out to me on the side to kind of pick my brain, I'm happy to help, because it's essential that you work with people that are going to get you to the closing table. Because believe me, I have experience. There was twice. I was one time at the closing table and the deal fell through, and 2 days before settlement, deal completely fell through. It's a nightmare. So those were big old wows to me in my 3 years of doing this.
I think, it's funny. Those are the battle scars that we all accumulate in this business, right? But I think it is that accumulation of knowledge happens over time. And those battle scars is what makes us who we are in this business over time, right? So Tony, same question to you. What kind of met your expectation in this business, and what kind of didn't you see coming? That's a part of what you do?
Well, in my past life, spending 45 years on Wall Street, very, very, very high pressure environment, very unforgiving and kind of unrewarding. I mean, as far as besides the financial rewards, there really wasn't much of a self reward. And what I really, really enjoy is the day of the closing, when you hand the keys to the buyer, and it's like you've done something so nice for them in their life. And that's, to me, priceless. And I realized that it would be something that I would achieve, or something that I would experience, but it's probably more than I ever expected it. That, to me, is everything.
Yeah, I can't agree with you enough. There's been, obviously, you work with all types of clients, and some, maybe are more your favorites than others, and some of them can be extremely, extremely rewarding. And I think that keeps us all going in this business against some of the negative stuff, Casey, like you had mentioned, deals falling apart at the table or a couple days beforehand. That's always an incredibly tough pill to swallow. But this was a great conversation that I had with the both of you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate both of you, and much continued success to both of you. And I look forward to following your careers in the near future. Thank you again. And we'll be talking to you hopefully in the future.
Awesome. Right. Thank you so much.
When you're a new agent, many times we feel like we're drinking from a fire hose with all the information that is being thrown at us and what we have to absorb and retain as we try and make our way in this business. It's not always easy to find quick success in real estate. So a couple takeaways that I had today talking with Tony and Casey is, number one, lean on what you know. And by that, I mean, lean on the people that you can reach out to say, hey, I'm in a new career. I'm in real estate now. Make sure that you be heard out there by your friends and family in what we call our sphere of influence. Also, lean on what you know in terms of real estate, right? Lean on your neighborhood, market to your neighborhood, farm an area that you know, because there's a lot out there that we don't know as newer or younger agents in this business that we have to go with what we know. And if you're an expert in your own neighborhood, let's start with that and then we'll branch out from there. And the last thing I'll say is lean on what you don't know. And by that, I mean, you have to learn a lot as a new agent in this business, so educate yourself. Lean on the fact that you don't know and you don't have all the answers, and the more classes that you can take are going to be more beneficial to your career. Number two, don't be afraid to lean on someone that you consider a mentor or someone that you admire who's been in this business and has had success, right? Success breeds success. So let's pair up with someone that you respect, that maybe sells a lot of homes, does a great job, someone who you look up to and admire, to kind of follow and mirror around. A lot of times, if you just ask that agent, hey, can I pick your brain a little bit? Or, hey, can I come out with you on a listing appointment? They would usually be happy to have you come along. Number three, and probably most important, you have to have confidence. You have to be confident in yourself. You have to portray that confidence to your clients, and you have to be in charge. So always remember, be confident in yourself. You can do this. We all started at the same place. We all started as new rookie agents. We didn't know what we were doing. And along the way, we learned the business and we grew in that confidence. We gained that confidence to be successful and where we are today. So remember, be confident in yourself and you can do this. Well, that's it for our episode this week. Join us in another couple of weeks for a new topic, a new guest, and remember to leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to hear a certain topic that we haven't covered yet, please reach out to me, jason.ostrowski@foxroach.com. We always like to hear from you and appreciate the feedback. But in the meantime, until our next episode, stay safe out there, stay selling, and we'll catch you next time on the Everything Real Estate Podcast.